And then even among ourselves, there are different ways to deal with conflicts and conflict resolution. So I worked in Afghanistan, I worked in Syria, I worked in Colombia, and everywhere I've gone, I realized I cannot bring my own knowledge of how to deal with conflicts to a new area. I have to come and say, yes, I know some frameworks, I know how to do this, but I want to learn what works locally. How do you solve your own problems? And often it's connected to faith, it's connected to culture, they all come together. And I know this again from my own family. I'll tell you how my family solves conflict. This is a story I haven't, I think, told before in these talks. One day, we got a phone call from my brother, and he said, come to my house quickly, we caught a thief. And so we all run to his house, and when I say we all, we're a big family, so like dozens of people show up at his house. There's this young guy who he locked in a room, and everyone in my cousins wanted to beat up that guy to death. And my dad walks in, and he says, no. He takes his ID, reads his name, gives it back to him, and he says, you can go. And we all mad at my dad at this point. It's like, no, we have to show them they can't come and do this to us. And I say, it's fine. So what actually happened is this kid comes into the house, he gathers all the stuff he wanted to steal, and then he thought, wait a second, I think I have enough time. Maybe I'll smoke a joint. So he sat down and he smoked a joint. And then he thought, well, it's only midnight. If I take a nap, nobody's gonna find out. So he took a nap. The only problem, he didn't wake up until my brother found him in the house, and that's how we caught him. So my dad called his family and said, your son did 1, 2, 3. Let's settle this in our traditional way. And so they sent a delegation to meet with us. And they came in, we had a spokesperson for our family, they had a spokesperson for their family. And it was an incredible experience because we sit down, we serve them coffee, they don't drink the coffee, they put it down, and then it starts going about what happens now. And they say, we admit guilt, we admit that our son did something totally wrong, he slept in your house without permission, he stole things from you, unacceptable, what do you want? And we laid down a few demands such as he should go get some rehab, some help, and they said, yeah, absolutely. They said he can't come into our neighborhood for a while because if one of my cousins sees him, there might be, young people problem. And they said, yeah, absolutely. And then we said, there's also financial compensation. I said, absolutely. And the bigger the crime is, the bigger the amount should be. So we started with a modest amount of $1 million. Now they knew and we knew that nobody's gonna pay $1 million. But it was on purpose to show how big this crime is. And so they said, absolutely, that sounds very reasonable. But for the sake of God, we know you are people of faith. Would you, for the sake of God, give us a discount? It's very Middle Eastern. I mean, you haggle at everything. And so my family go, yeah, for God, we can definitely do that. From $1 million, we go to $500,000. We're very easy, apparently. And then they go, well, for the sake of Prophet Jesus. I say, okay, for Jesus, we'll go half of that again. And they say, how about for Moses? And we go, half again. They go, Muhammad, and we go, half again. And it goes down until eventually it gets to $20,000. And then we say, that's it. 20 is fair. And they say, okay, fine, give us a few days to collect. Why they need a few days to collect? Because not only the person who commits the offense, a crime, will pay it, it's the whole family. Cousins, second cousins, everyone will pitch in, which makes a big difference. Understanding conflicts locally makes a big difference. And so everybody collects their money. 3 days later, they bring us the money. Me and my brother sitting down and thinking about how we're going to spend $20,000. This sounds amazing thing. And then my dad goes, oh, you shouldn't do that because we're giving back the money. You what? They said, we're giving back the money. Like, so why did you take the money in the first place if you're going to give it back? And so he explained his reasoning. And his reasoning was, one, he wanted them to collect the money so they can feel the pain of the crime. If he forgave them right away, they would never understand the consequences of what happens. And he said, by all of them giving us money, and by me keeping the money for a few days, they'll definitely feel what it means to lose it. And then when you give it back to them, they're even more grateful that you are coming back and saying, here is your money back. So, but why forgive them at all? It is our right to take that money. It is acceptable. Nobody looks down at you for taking it. He said, well, we are a big family. The chances are one of your nephews are going to do something stupid at some point. I have 21 nephews and nieces. It's like the chances are one of them going to do something stupid at some point. If we are known as people who forgive, maybe when we commit a crime, a sin against somebody, they'll remember us as people who forgive. But if we don't, people will remember us as those who don't forgive. And to me, that was very instrumental in what I learned about conflicts, communication. All of the work I'm doing is understanding how local conflict resolution works, how bringing people together work, and understanding how culture makes a big difference. And if you come in not knowing how everybody else thinks, how the other people you're communicating with, how do they view conflicts, how do they view life, how they view solving problems, how do they communicate with each other, then the likelihood is you're not going to be able to get along. But if you step out and say, I'm going to come in not with my presuppositions, not with my own understanding, but I'm coming in totally willing to understand how you do it, then it does make a big difference. And I think what we try to do in this book is each one of us outline where we come from, where our culture comes from, what are the issues we're struggling through, and try to communicate that to you, but also with each other. And so there's a dialogue that's going, here's how my culture deals with it, how does your culture deal with it, and then coming together and saying, okay, now we can talk to each other, now we can understand how we can build on this. Thank you.